Gaming is a weird world, and every month gameranx gathers up some of the weirdness, bundles it together, and this is that. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, the weirdest gaming stories from March 2019. Number 10, the new Mercedes-Benz CLA was shown as a platform to run an open source version of Mario Kart, specifically called Super Tux Kart. Yeah, you can't really open source actual Mario Kart, but you also can't get people to click on a story if you don't say Mario Kart. If you just say Super Tux Kart, people are gonna be like, what is that? Yeah, so Mercedes made a big ol' splash by saying they were letting people play Mario Kart on the dashboard. Again, not really Mario Kart. I don't know if that's the weird part of the story or if the weird part of the story is that you can play a driving game on your driving machine, which you would normally be actually driving with. It truly is a driveception situation. Now, all joking aside, it actually is kind of cool looking. You can use the steering wheel from the car itself to control the game. And while it's not actually directly Mario Kart, I don't really think it's a bad substitute. It's certainly an admirable pursuit, that's for sure. Number 9, Sega halted the sales of its video game Judgment after an actor by the name of Pierre Taki, who plays a Yakuza boss in the game, was arrested for cocaine use. Now, in the United States, that probably wouldn't stop the sales of a video game. In fact, most people probably wouldn't have any idea that the game itself had somebody with cocaine problems in it. I don't typically Google the voice actors of video games to see if they've got drug problems, but hey, Japan is different. Apparently, they've got very, very strict drug laws, and any possession of any kind of cocaine can incur a sentence of up to 7 years in jail. And again, it is the culture in Japan that is different. Apparently, an arrest getting caught using drugs is a problem, both individually for the actor, it can actually be a career ender, but also it's looked at as an embarrassment for Sega, whereas again, people wouldn't even know it happened in the US, and if they did, they'd be like, oh, alright. Well, that has nothing to do with my day. And tweet. Number 8, in Australia, not in Japan, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice is apparently such a big deal, they are creating a limited edition PS4 that has wood on it and is made to look like some kind of an ancient Asian decoration. It's a very limited run, and most of them are apparently being given away in contests. Now let's just be completely clear. It would work as an actual decoration in your living room. It's quite pretty actually, despite the blood splatters on it. It looks kind of like a paper window. Now what I find curious about it is that it is in Australia they are doing this. It is not in Japan, where I feel like there's a much more intense connection to the culture that it is attempting to make a PlayStation 4 look like, where it seems like it might be a thing that makes more sense in terms of history. And I'm not saying that it's bad. It's something that I would like in my living room, and I certainly am not from any Asian country. But I just thought, Australia, huh? Interesting. Nothing says Australia like Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Number 7, a party was going on out in California, apparently, and stuff got pretty wild. A gamer and his roommates actually had 5 bullets fly through their wall randomly, as in they weren't targeted, they were just people shooting guns willy-nilly at this California party. And one of those bullets was stopped by a computer monitor, specifically an MSI curved gaming monitor. And that bullet was deflected. The monitor did not stop working either. A big chunk of the plastic was taken out, and you can see bullet holes in the wall in the pictures that this person posted to the internet, and frankly, it seems quite wild. Like I said, 5 bullets entered this guy's apartment. One came in through their window, one actually went through one of their ceiling fan blades. It's wild. So, what you need to do if you're a company that makes things is make them bulletproof, and then hope that somebody doesn't get shot because of it. Actually, that seems like a pretty inefficient plan, but it is some good free advertising. I'll bet MSI didn't get too upset over this one. Number 6, Comcast is going to spend $50 million in South Philly to create the very first video gaming arena. Now, the reason this is a big deal is because nobody does this. they usually have video game competitions in already created arenas. Nobody commissions a specific one, but to be fair, the arena itself, at least the concept art for it, is pretty cool. There are some fairly large screens on some fairly large surfaces, and I think that sounds pretty neat. It's maybe a little weird, just based on the idea that 10 years ago I probably wouldn't have imagined this happening. But it's also very weird that South Philly is the first place they're doing it. Nothing against South Philly, it's just my thought would be New York, LA, or, nowhere else. I mean, it's a boon for South Philly, and I feel great for them. And frankly, I would like it if more companies did things that weren't centered around the big cities that we usually hear about in the news. So let's chalk this kind of weird up as good in more than one way. Number 5, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say, this is really fun. You see, you can apparently overemphasize the animations in Resident Evil 2's remake, and with some minor hacking can make them look very silly. Somebody posted a video of varying levels of animation for the truck driver hitting the zombie girl, and it's funny because once it's just really getting going, it looks absurd. Like, the guy is much scarier than the zombie by far. His tongue and his lips and his mouth, they all get sort of flopping around, and they're slimy as any zombie because they're at the inside of his mouth. They're supposed to be slimy. Just you're not supposed to see the inside of his mouth. At least, not the way you see it in this video. Number 4, the Halo Master Chief Collection was announced for PC. This is obviously a good thing. It's not a weird thing at all. It's kind of a thing that everybody has wanted for a long time, but the weird thing, and maybe only weird to the outside eye, maybe less weird specifically to the Halo community, the community that has sort of formed around something that kind of was LAN party oriented, where there was a lot of pizza being the key word here. What's weird is 343 Industries had to ask people to stop sending pizza to 343 Industries, and not like prank pizza deliveries where they have to pay for it. People were calling local pizza places, paying for pizza, and having it sent to 343 Industries. The community director Brian Gerard took to Twitter and said, "The Halo community is awesome. We're excited too. Please don't send any more pizzas to 343 Industries." That is such a weird opening sentence. The building receptionist isn't here, so it's getting logistically challenging, and we really don't want to see food go to waste. Which, can we sit here and say, good position to take? There are a lot of people in the world that don't have any food, and getting tons and tons of pizza, well, truly a great way to show appreciation. When it gets to be excessive, when everybody is like giving their resources to people who have resources, it probably stops feeling great, despite the fact that it probably also felt really good. Hey, people are this happy about this, that's good to know. It's one of those weird things you don't get to say too often. Too much pizza. Number 3, a soldier in a training exercise taking place in virtual reality was charged with going rogue. Yes, you know how when you're playing Grand Theft Auto and you're like, actually, I don't really want to do the missions right now. Instead, I am just gonna do whatever I want. I'm gonna blow that up and get the fake cops really angry at me. Yeah, imagine if the fake cops are also the real cops. Or even worse, the military. So he got charged, like formally charged, as in a court of law, as in military tribunal, because he got sick of playing around in fake tanks and instead blew up some friendlies. Apparently, the entire battalion found it quite funny, but not funny enough to stop the officers from charging him criminally. Number 2, the Red Cross is apparently attempting to develop a video game that has much more realistic consequences for just shooting everything that moves. The idea is to train people to obey the rules of engagement as far as international armed conflicts, which I'm just gonna go ahead and say, I think is not gonna sell that well. A lot of the reason people play war games is because it's nothing like real life. If it suddenly becomes very much like real life, where you get formally charged in a court of law for getting bored in a video game, yeah, I don't know, there's an element of wish fulfillment in not just war games, but all video games, that I think it's going to result in not a lot of people learning the rules of engagement in international armed conflicts. I mean, as a training tool, it might be good, but can you imagine how slow-paced that's gonna be? Like war, like real war? where you have to pay attention to what you're doing and not shoot unless it's utterly necessary, unless you get penalized. Probably not in an actual court of law, but penalized in the game at least, like the video game court of law. Is it that real? Does it get that realistic? You shoot a civilian and they're like, nope. Hope you enjoy some virtual military tribunal. That's a joke. People get away with that kind of crap all the time, and they shouldn't. And finally, number 1, a power outage in Venezuela caused an economic crisis related to and inside RuneScape. Hey, did you know that mining gold in RuneScape is, for some, more profitable than a real job in Venezuela? Hey, did you know that there are real jobs in Venezuela? Hey, did you know that 75% of the jobs in Venezuela are under private entities? Yeah, but it's not enough, so a lot of people play RuneScape instead. Or at least they did play RuneScape until the power went out and caused an economic crisis with all of the people who are playing the game instead of having a real job. The in-game currency worldwide dipped pretty hard in value, which is very interesting. Yeah, so if you depend on that in-game economy at all, maybe start protesting when our country does stuff like that to other countries. I don't know. Even if it's only for the greedy reason of playing RuneScape unaffected. Hey, RuneScape's important, guys. Don't turn the power off in Venezuela. Ironclad logic, right? Yeah. Couple of bonus weird stories for you. A treadmill by the company known as Woodway has a screen and lets you run, of course, kinda virtually through various game worlds. Meaning, yes, they've finally ported Skyrim to a treadmill. In India, 10 kids got arrested for playing PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds because apparently it's now illegal in India for kids to play that. They're claiming that due to these games, the education of children and youth are being affected and affects the behavior, manners, speech, and development of the youth and children, going on to say that it is responsible for the violent actions of the kids of today. Like, there are so many studies that show us there is no direct correlation. Yes, there are some minor correlations, but the dichotomy of, hey, video games make people violent, or they don't, it's not the right way of talking about the subject, and laws like this are not the right way of addressing them. And finally, Walmart saw Google's Stadia announcement and was like, oh, we gotta get in on this. So apparently they're working on a streaming service, or at least exploring the possibilities. Hey, they've got their own gaming laptop, so why not? So what weird stuff happened to you in this past month of gaming? Leave us a comment, let us know what you think, and if you like this video, please click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. So click subscribe, and don't forget to click the notification bell. As always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time, right here on GameRanx.